interesting to say the least.
What?
And I think it would be more weird if they were not in the. Like, isn't that how balls work? If
Well,
they're
they
in the
don't
same
stick
sack,
to
they
each
would
other
stick
inside
to
the
each other?
womb. I mean, it's like, twins inside the womb.
Is the sack a womb now?
Kind of for my testicles.
I'm concerned about the Carolina biology education, is all I'm saying. Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers! Clink, clank, clink,
Clink, clank, clink, clink, clank.
Right.
Ratchet and Clank, hello and welcome to Strange Happy Hour. I am one of your hosts, Brent the Jesterhead Metcalf. Along to my left,
The dispatcher, Mark Plover.
I always like to look up because you're like, wait, which left? This left? Got it. Okay. And on to the right,
Handsome John Pettit.
we, of course, come together each and every week to discuss with you the very cool tech news and super nerdy video game news. Of course, we don't have time to talk about everything, but before we go through our normal rigmarole, I do have a couple of notes to touch on regarding a couple stories that we've already talked about before, as well as some sad news. We'll start off with the sad news. Actor extraordinaire and the Black Panther himself, Chadwick Boseman, has passed away at the age of 43. If you're not aware of this, he actually had been diagnosed and fighting cancer for the past 4 years, including during his time while working at Marvel Studios. A lot of people were not aware of this fact. He kept it very close to the chest. Only close family was shown this information. So very sad to hear about it. As a matter of fact, one of the cool things I saw this week was that Fortnite is currently doing a Marvel crossover, and they've added a brand new point of interest on the map called it's a Black Panther monument called Panther's Prowl. So as a nice aside to Chadwick himself. So there are some great interviews with people who have been around with him, including Ryan Coogler, who is the director of Black Panther. Oh my God, Michael B. Jordan, who played as the villain of Black Panther. There's a couple of other great stuff out there. So I highly recommend looking into that. And of course, we are all saddened by this loss.
I like the way he did it because he was able to control his last narrative. So
yes,
that was really cool.
Yes, very much. The other bit of news I wanted to touch on before we start the show is the Fall Guys charity skin winner has been announced. We discussed this previously, where the Fall Guys individuals who are running their company have decided that they were going to give away a skin to the person or organization who could bring in the most money for the charity they asked for. And so G2 Esports, Ninja, and Mr. Beast have all come together, and Aim Lab. All four of these organizations / individuals have come together to donate $1 million to this charity, and there will be a ninja skin put into the game. So I thought that was really cool. That they actually got $1 million off of this. Once again, the last time we talked, it was $130,000 from G2 Sports. So glad to see that it really hit a number. Very, very happy to see power being used appropriately in this world. But of course, we can't talk about everything else that happened this week. We can't talk about how Niantic has released Mega Pokemon and Pokemon Go. You better believe this nerdy ass motherfucker is going to talk about it for a second. Cannot talk about the fact that Fall Guys is the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game ever since the inception of it. That's 10 years ago. And we also can't talk about the fact that Netflix is going to have a live action Resident Evil series based on the Wesker kids.
Whatever.
That's right. That makes no sense. But we do have time to discuss what we like to do on this very show each and every week as we get it together under the microscope. Just kidding. From our quarantine bunkers, what we like to call
the important
shit. And the big news happened today. Today is Tuesday while we're recording per the usual. So Marcus, take us away. What is happening with graphics card?
Oh, Easily one of the biggest advancements that's come out in, I would say, the last 5 to 10 years in graphics cards anyway, as far as like graphical performance jumps are concerned here. So Nvidia just today, specifically September 1st, launched their or announced the release of their RTX 3000 series. That includes the RTX 3080, the RTX 3090, and the RTX 3070. So they fall in line with the same numbers that you've heard before of the RTX 3070 and the RTX 3080. and they are priced exactly the same as their predecessors, the 2070 and the 2080. The exception here being the RTX 3090. So what they did away with was the TI line, which the predecessor to the 3090 is essentially the 2080 Ti, which this does remove some ambiguity from this. Of course, most people by this point know what the TI line is.
Super nice though for people who are getting into building PCs, much like our own B-Scotch and Dots.
Right. Higher number equals better performance.
Correct.
Higher number also equals a much bigger expense as far as this is concerned.
Also correct.
Yeah. So the RTX 3070 is going to get released at 500, which is about it's generally the current tier budget card that they release anyway. The current tier like high end budget card that they release. The RTX 3080 is slated at 699. And I will have to double check this because it's not listed here for some reason. But if I remember right, the RTX 3090 is supposed to drop at $1299.
$1499.
$1499. There you go.
Yeah.
But the performance jump here on these cards
ridiculous.
Like,
yeah.
Across the board, we're talking about an 80 to 100% increase in performance during games, depending on the game and the scene and everything that you're in. So the biggest jumps here, of course, are in the fact that Nvidia finally doubled down on the idea that, yep, RTX and tensor cores are the way to go for graphical performance, because AI, as far as processing for graphical performance and ray tracing for optimal lighting solutions, give the most realistic feel. And the AI gives the most realistic processing to reduce load on the graphics processing units themselves to have to use clunky code to make that work. Instead, the AI can just automatically optimize the scene based on however you're looking at it with whatever hardware you're using.
Yeah.
So ridiculous improvements here. So the RTX 3080 being the baseline that they're using for this this jump here, and in comparison to the RTX 2080. So the RTX 2080 had started with 11 shader teraflops. The 3080 is now going to have 30 shader teraflops. It is also going to be running 10 gigabytes of GDDR6X. So the 10 gigabytes of VRAM isn't anything tremendously new, and GDDR6 has been around for a while as far as graphics or cards are concerned. GDDR6, though, implements brand new bus interfaces or brand new memory interfaces for the processors themselves to increase the bandwidth tremendously. One thing, of course, is that it's a higher bit bandwidth, as far as memory read and write performance. The biggest improvement, though, is the way that they're actually handling byte performance using voltage modulation. So normally on a motherboard, on a processor, and the way you transmit data over a wire is it's a high and low voltage adjustment. It's usually like a quarter, 250 millivolts all the way up to 1,000 millivolts, or a single volt, depending on what it is. What they're doing now to improve the throughput here is they're using 4 sequences or 4 different levels of voltage to transmit data over a wire, which can represent 2 bits at the same time over a single wire. So you have 250 millivolts, which would be 0 0. You have 500 millivolts, which would be 0 1. You have 750, which would be this that or 1 0, and then you have a full volt, which would be 1 1. And the idea is you can get a better representation of data to almost quite literally double the throughput over top of tiny little wires that transmit between the memory and the processor, or the processor and other parts of the board.
Yeah.
Just that, by doing something relatively minimal, and don't get me wrong, it's a big improvement because this tiny little hardware has to be able to select between 4 different types of voltage readings instead of 2. But realistically, that's such a simple improvement to be able to increase the bandwidth throughput on pretty much anything, on a pretty large scale.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think the fact that they come up, it's one of those things that you're told a lot, right? The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
But from a technology standpoint, you always want to try every avenue. You want to try something new and do that. But ultimately, it's just coming back down to keeping it simple. What do you do? Let's use these tiny wires that can pass data a little bit faster, a little bit better. We'll just use more of these, and there you go, done.
Yep. And even then, instead of needing more of them, you just improve upon the ones that you already have. Like,
there you go.
You've got better ability to read voltages across those wires. Why not improve upon that then? So a GDDR6X definitely seems to be the way to go. The RTX 3080 and 3090 are going to be the only two that carry GDDR6, a 6X specifically. The 3070 will not. That is going to be that's going to have just standard GDDR6. So the 3080 is fully expected to be able to handle. Where was it? It was listing at 4K
60.
Yeah, 60 pretty easily anyway on HDR scenarios specifically. The 3090 on the other hand is supposed to be able to handle 8K HDR at 60 frames a second.
60 frames. When I saw that earlier, my jaw actually dropped. I was like, holy shit.
There are some unreal numbers coming out of this stuff.
Yeah.
And a graph that I wanted to pull up specifically that I haven't been able to find on any website specifically shows the price per performance. And I'm showing you guys here, and I'll have to bring this up anyway to show everyone later. But it's really comparing the prices of each released graphics card for them the last was 3 generations anyway up to the current. As well as where the performance stacks based on some arbitrary baseline that they're giving. But we're seeing about double the performance roughly.
Yeah.
On most of these graphics cards at the same price. The 3080 is priced exactly the same as the 1080 Ti and the 2080 Super with nearly double the performance.
Yeah.
And the 3070 is sitting about the same line with just under double the performance, I think, in that respect.
I love how they put the 2080 Ti all the way over here just to remind you how much money you spent on that.
Well, so I didn't see it because I thought they had plotted it on this graph whenever I watched it through the first time, but they didn't. Was the 3090 was supposed to be plunked somewhere up here above this, but it technically falls off the chart at 1499. So
over here.
Yeah, like technically the 3090 is essentially the equivalent to your TIs, but realistically your Titans too. Like the reference that they've already given out is that the 3090 exceeds what the Titan graphics cards. And for those who don't know from the Nvidia world, the Titan graphics cards are like your over the top, holy shit, I'm trying to spend $4,000 on a desktop computer, to do unrealistic things with, like computing and game performance that I really don't need anywhere else. Or I'm trying to run unrealistic VR, simulations anyway with a headset that just really push the boundaries of what's capable currently. And the Titan graphics cards are really built to do that. Now, the 3090 kind of falls in line with that, but we already know that the 3090 now exceeds what the current gen Titan X can do. So I'm intrigued to see if they come out with another Titan series.
Yeah.
If they come out with a Titan Y or Titan Z or something, next level, that would push this even further.
We all know you got the money for it, don't you, Marcus?
Oh, you better believe it. He's buying all 3 of these graphics cards just to put them all on top of each other.
Totally. 100%.
Make a nice big fat $6,000 sandwich.
No. I'm thinking 6,000. Oh, we might have to work on your math.
Yep.
He said they were like $2,000 a piece, didn't he?
The Titans are, yeah.
Yeah, the Titans are, yeah. But no, so I'm really, really intrigued to see what all comes of this. So here's kind of the big issue, I guess, that they ran into at the last generation. So the 20 series was the first release. They came out with the RTX line. And because they had some backlash as far as the 2000 series or the 20 series was concerned, because regular graphics performance on non-RTX enabled games was actually lower than, like some of the 10 series counterparts even that came out. So in response to that, they came out with the next generation of the 10 series called the 16s. Now both of you guys have 16 level chips, in your laptops, the idea is that it's a more traditional graphics card in an upgraded fashion from what the 10 series was to compete and exceed what the 20 series could do in non-RTX enabled scenarios. But now they're doubling down on the RTX enabled, TensorFlow enabled, graphics computational world, basically saying, jump on the ship or don't at this point. Now we'll see if they get backlash for it at this point, but realistically, I don't think they will. There
I don't
are
think they
enough
will.
games at this point that have RTX enabled on them. Like hell, Call of Duty, who had avoided the RTX train for the last 2 years, Treyarch is now coming out with Cold War, which they're going to announce on September 9th,
Which is hilarious.
is supposed to be RTX enabled.
I also want to point out that during this 45-minute presentation, which by the way was great because it was like a very, very nerdy, like almost like a Gamescom or other conference where they're just like, hey, we're going to talk about all RTX. They even announced RTX 10. They announced a suite of tools for streamers to use, all kinds of other things on top of the graphics cards. But in this event, they also announced that Fortnite is going to have RTX integration as well. So like,
you can't have a game release event without mentioning Fortnite partnership.
Of course. But the point is that you're right. Everyone's hopping on this train, and I don't think they're getting enough any flack, really. Like, if you don't want to hop on it, you buy something like what John and I have, which are these gaming laptops with the 16 series. And if you are trying to upgrade and move on forward, then you get these newer. That's the whole reason why they made the pricing the way it is. It's arguably more affordable for more power than you've ever gotten. Right? Like the $500 price point is still a good price point. You'll be just fine there. If you can't afford, if you can afford more than that, $700, still not a bad price point for getting double the power of the last generation graphics card. Like
100%.
Of the highest tier generation graphics card, like double what the 2080 Ti.
Because I mean, that's what I did is, once the 20 series came out and the 16 series came out, and ironically, it's actually sitting on this the old happy hour set right now. Is my GeForce my GeForce was it WinForce 3 1080 Ti. The 2080s, the 2080 series and the 16 series had all come out by that point. The TIs had been released, the prices were set, and they were starting to decline. But the 1080 series, because the 1000 series had not quite gone out of production or out of stock yet, but they were going like hotcakes because everybody wanted to upgrade.
Yep.
Well, I could pick up a 1080 Ti for $300, $400 at that point. For a card that literally came out over $1,000 when it was brand new.
100%.
So why not? Like that brings this previous generation, which I will tell you that the 2070, the 2080, 2080 Super, 2070 Super, 2080 Ti are all very capable cards for what they are currently.
Yeah.
The 3000 series just takes it to the next level.
What are the generation gaps usually for these? I mean, are we talking like a few years?
So it really depends on the manufacturer. Like AMD's had 1 to 2 year release or update dates between these. Nvidia has been pretty on par with, I think, 2 years between each generation, between the 900s, then the 1000s, then I think the 900s and the 1000s came out 1 year apart because they were using brand new tech for those. But the 2000 series came out 2 years later because it's a completely redesigned chip, with RTX cores with AI specific tensor cores, and then regular GPU compute units, of course. But then it's been 2 years since the 2000 series came out. Now that they're announcing the 3000 series, and the announcement happened today, September 1st. They will be available on marketplaces September 17th, Thursday.
So crazy, man. That's so crazy. This is like 2 weeks and you get it.
I am in a debate on whether I want to buy a 3080 because like $700 for that is not terrible.
Yeah.
And for the kind of graphics performance, like first off, I'd have to chunk it into Battlefield or something like that, which would blow away like the kind of performance I was getting on Battlefield already on my 2080 Super.
Get it?
Is like 70 frames a second. I cannot imagine running this on a card that is more than or about double the performance anyway.
Do us a favor and take some footage of this so that way we can do some comparisons.
Well, I was actually going to suggest if you do end up getting one of these things, there's some really cool tech that they're touting along with these cards. Again, we talked about the RTX broadcast. They're talking about the fact that they are actually able to, using your camera and these graphics cards, you can stream footage of you, put a skeleton on you, and motion capture pretty much directly to models. Convincingly is their point.
That is part of the TensorFlow system.
Yeah.
is the ability for the AI to automatically map your body, similar to way that like you could use whatever camera you want, but the idea is it would be similar to the Kinect system where it would map out your body. And if you use like a 3D modeling program, you can import that as live capture, which is, or motion capture, which is obscene too, because like there's several $1 million setups to do this kind of thing for professional studios, and here you have it available in a consumer product.
In a COVID quarantine laden world, yes, this is going to be incredible for people, especially smaller developers who want to just make cool shit, whether it's movies or games or whatever the case may be. Like giving them those capabilities is incredible. And I'm seeing people on Twitter and even in our Discord discussing like, well, I might just replace a majority of my setup to make this work because I need the monitors and all that to actively get everything out of it. But it's now reaching the point of affordability where fuck it might just be worth it.
Yeah. So there are two big points here with this that I really want to talk about. First off, cooling. First, have you seen the fan setup on this?
Yes.
It's like, actually really cool.
So it's available in the imagery that I had posted in the article link below. Specifically, it's the 5th image in the slideshow that's available in the Ars Technica article. And the idea is that it's a double fan system, but not in the way that it has been previously. So what Nvidia decided to do here is cram the entire processing capability of this chip or of this board into about half the length of the normal graphics card. And the point here is that the other half of it is just straight up heat pipes and a push through and a through fan system.
Yep.
Over top of some fins. And the idea is that it's weird looking with the fans on either side of the graphics card. And the idea is that the one that is closest to the rear of the case of your computer is an intake system with venting out of the back plate, which is normal. But this one, the secondary fan is a push through or pull through fan, which pulls cold air from the case and the ambient of the case through the grate and then back out the fan, which is available to exit back into the case elsewhere and get tossed out the back, however your airflow is set up in your case. Which, to me, this is the most revolutionary cooling system that's come out for a graphics card. And I don't understand why an aftermarket company hasn't come out with this, like MSI or Asus or anybody else that makes aftermarket NVIDIA or non-reference NVIDIA graphics cards. I don't understand why this hasn't been a thing.
Within the next year, there will be.
It'll be a double through system at some point, of like, oh, the graphics or the board sits in the middle and, both fans push air through or something ridiculous like that, and that's fine. But this means the cooling performance is obscene. The number that the launch event touted was like 85 watts of better cooling performance, which 85 watts on these is obscene considering the TDP. Or the thermal performance on this. It's ridiculous. So that kind of improvement is groundbreaking as far as this is concerned, because it also blows my mind that nobody's come out with this yet. But the only other way that you could have increased your thermal performance on a graphics card up to this point was water cooling.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the only way to do it. And if you had a non-reference card, you had to hope that there was some aftermarket company that made one available for your card. But now the reference card on air cooling outperforms what a lot of water cooling could do before. So why not?
I imagine one day these chips are going to be stored in like a liquid substance because it's going to always be so hot that it never actually touches it.
I just want you to know that this is really cool, and I'm right there with you. This is very revolutionary until the PS5 releases and we figure out its cooling system. So,
they obviously have something completely different.
I hope they don't take a step back to the PS3.
One can only hope. We don't need jet engines.
We learned that the Nvidia card is actually inside of it, and this was the cool cooling system.
God. Any last? Okay, you got some last thoughts? Talk to us.
The second piece that I really wanted to talk about here, is the fact that this is a PCI Express 4.0 card. Okay, so PCI Express 3.0 has been the standard now since like 2000. I'm just guessing 8 or 9 here. It's been out for a long time. It's got very high throughput. There is zero reason at this point, or had been zero reason up to this point, to change the system. So PCI Express 4.0 just came out within the last 2 years. And AMD had launched it with the new 3000 series chips and their motherboards to support PCI Express 4.0. The problem that you're going to run into is Intel with the 10,000 series chips still does not support PCI Express 4.0.
Yeah.
If you have a current generation Intel system, you cannot get this graphics card or any of these graphics cards.
Oh, man.
They have shot themselves in the foot to the point that like Rocket Lake S is supposed to be the next series to support it. But my understanding is Rocket Lake S, let's see when it is that's Rocket Lake. I don't care about Rocket Lake.
I was going to say, I know you're saying Rocket
supposed to
Lake, but I keep hearing Rocket League.
Yeah, I do too.
Wait, what?
So Rocket Lake S is supposed to be their next generation to be able to support it, but it is not out yet.
So I'm not going to be able to put this graphics card inside my laptop.
Definitely not.
That we could tape it to the bottom though.
For so many more reasons than the fact that you've got an Intel chip. Yes,
we
so
can
many
tape
more
it to
reasons.
the bottom. Come on, man.
Yeah, you could tape it there.
I've got the water cooling system part on the bottom. Yeah,
it'll be a $700 weight system to the bottom of your laptop. Is what that'll be.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
But until the 11 series really come out here, which I wanted to double check here, but as far as I know, yeah, the 8-core 12-thread 11700K is not out yet, and we'll support it sometime in the future. But the problem is that if it doesn't release by the time that this graphics cards come out, first off, me as an AMD guy, I'm going to jump on top of this because supply is going to be plentifully available just because the Intel folks won't be able to do this. And there will be tons of Intel folks that are going to be like, hell yeah, I'm going to spend like the guys who spent, like tons of money on the 10700K when it came out brand new, at like $500 or $600 and then spent tons of money on their system are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to buy a 3090 at, $1,500 and they're not going to be able to use it.
Yep.
I can say it already, but I can already say that I am probably looking at purchasing one purchasing a 3080.
This is Satan, Mark. You should purchase it. Satan says you should purchase.
Why does Satan want him to buy things? Why are they evil?
Wow, why does he wants me to spend money?
You heard it here first, folks. Mark's trying to help you. If you have an Intel chip, you're fucked. Don't buy it.
This is why I never bought Intel at all. I just bought Dell. Because, dude, you're getting a Dell.
Okay, all right. Back to the early 2000s commercial.
Yeah,
Dell here.
Correct. For the guy who got arrested for pot, I don't remember. He got arrested for something.
I don't know.
Hopefully not child pornography.
I would say anything's better than Jared from Subway at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they forgave what's his name from the Olympics.
Phelps.
Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Okay. I'm glad we were thinking drugs and not child pornography from the Olympics. God. Like, we're not talking about Chinese Olympics.
Well, you were talking about the dude from Dell getting caught with weed. So
that is true. That's true.
But anyway, last point here for you Intel folks. Rocket Lake S, the 11 series chips are slated to come out late this year, early 2021. So good luck. Have fun waiting. As of September 17th, I probably will have pre-ordered a 3080.
And that's why we call you the PC Master Race.
I was gonna say there is some real vitriol code out there.
Oh, there's a divide. There's a divide with console fans between PlayStation and Xbox all the time. In the PC Master Race world, it's between Intel and AMD usually. and Nvidia and AMD as well. But that's a moot point.
Well, I mean, we have Nintendo. Okay.
Intel people could suck it. Please let us know what you think about Rocket League Series S. I swear to God, I'm going to make knockoff Rocket League in
Intel Rocket League
PlayStation 4. It's going to be Rocket League S. Well, let us know in the comments floating above Mark. He looks so happy and gleeful. Look at that crown. He might as well have won a round of Fall Guys. He might have.
I actually did get a crown.
Boom! Look at that. Look at that.
Last week.
It's my boy right there. He's working it. We don't need to talk about how many Handsome John has because it's too many and it's not fair. But we are going to talk to Handsome John about PS5, where he will be playing his Fall Guys from now on. Maybe.
Pre-orders aren't available yet, but don't worry. They're offering you the chance to be the first to buy it. So there's unfortunately they're trying to get your information and saying, hey, come and sign up with your username. And based on, I guess, your level of interest of PlayStation, they're going to send you an email at some point in time after or before they tell you what the price is to possibly order one. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out, to be honest.
Yeah, we should break it down from the beginning, right? Like, so they released a website. They have not emailed people. This is just a website that's available.
Yeah, it's in their facts. And it's not just them. It's also, GameStop, Walmart, Amazon, Target. All of them have their websites for sign up.
The key for Sony, though, is that you have to tie it to your PSN, and whatever email is tied to your PlayStation ID.
Yes. So that's what I said earlier, is that you tie it to your ID. They may or may not send you an email on how or when you can buy your pre-order that you don't know what it costs yet. So we don't even know when that's supposed to come. There's no destination in time of when your pre-order is going to be allowed for the pre-order. Essentially is what it is. It's a pre-order of a pre-order.
Can I also say that the list of items available for pre-order here is a little
outrageous?
Bizarre. Yeah.
Because
they're like, hey, we have the media remote.
And this is what scares me the most, is that they're telling you ahead of time that you're going to pre-order for a chance to pre-order this console, but you can only have one because this is going to be scary tight.
Well,
if you really want one.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that it's like multiples of certain things. So you can pre-order one of each type of, or one of any type of console. So like either one PS5 or one PS5 digital. 2 DualSense wireless controllers, that's fine. 2 DualSense charging stations, that's fine. 2 Pulse 3D wireless headsets. Borderline, but okay. 2 media remotes. Who needs sense. 2 media remotes for one PlayStation?
So to be fair,
2 HD cameras. Who needs 2 HD cameras?
They might need 2 HD cameras. You never know. Maybe there's like a 3D modeling feature thing and you need 2 cameras for it.
Oh my God. That's okay. So Sony has for years done this. So like on the PS3 and the PS4, the pre-orders for like media remotes and all that were also available with the consoles. That was a thing. That's fine. The 2, I believe, is because of the fact that they're stating multiple times over and over again that supply is limited, right? Yeah. So one of the thought processes they're having with this is the fact that, hey, you're PSN, which means you have to be a part of the PlayStation Network to some degree, right? Yeah. Even if it's literally just making one.
But what are they determining this with, though? Trophies? How many times you bought something? How many?
Actually, I was going to say a bunch of you 2 Platty boys over there are going to be, pretty high up on that list.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I'm working on my 90th platinum right now.
Oh my God.
I know, I'm a terrible individual. But no, like, I think the whole point is that they're trying to embrace the consumers who have supported them this long, which I do understand.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I agree
it stops
that
the scalpers. Because the scalpers that don't have any PSN
trophies or games
or a lot of them, like they just joined in like this past month, or they've only played one game. Like, why are they trying to buy this brand new console? Doesn't make any sense.
But you have to take that with a grain of salt too. Of like, they don't necessarily want to turn away first timers that look at the release of the PS5 for a new generation, and maybe some kids being like, well, maybe I want to get a PS5. Let me jump in for the pre-order.
Told you're rejected. They don't tell you rejected. You only get an invite to get the pre-order. So they're not going to be like, hey, sorry, you suck. You didn't buy enough of our stuff. It was more along the lines of like, hey, we want to get it into the hands of people who really are into this, want to hit this with the ground running, and obviously play like probably, I would imagine, at least 5 games a year.
They'll never officially say what the rhyme or reason is for this.
No. I think this is definitely from the fact that they have no idea how they're going to be able to handle any of this right now, right? Like, they're terrified about the fact that people are going to come in looking for a console and they're just not going to have it.
Yeah.
And they don't want a repeat of the Wii or other instances. So they're trying their damnedest to ensure that console owners who currently own a PlayStation are able to dive into this. And obviously they don't have all of the allotment, right? Sony will keep an allotment for their own personal store, and then they give out an allotment to other retailers. So as a consumer, our warning, I would argue here is sign up for all sites.
Yep.
get all of your notifications, be ready at any point in time.
You can always just not respond or turn down other ones. So
100%.
Don't go to the same location with your friends because one of you or more of you is going to be upset.
or become a scalper yourself. If you get 3 acceptances, to like Walmart, Best Buy, and Sony, then you purchase 2 and you turn around and sell them for a profit. It's whatever.
Don't get me wrong. Again, that's where I think this whole entire system is trying to say we're trying to get these in the hands of gamers who want to utilize this, and everything else goes to the wayside. It's like it is what it is. Like whatever's left over that goes to physical.
Hey man, if you're scalping it, still eventually ends up in the hands of a gamer that actually wants to play it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Scalpers for charging 3 or 4 times the price of it. I'm not paying $1,000 for a PS5 this year. I refuse.
I think you would.
Somebody else
if
might.
You can't find
Damn
one.
It, John, you know me too well.
I'm just saying. I know that you're going to end up paying that, and that sucks. But at the same time, like. I understand where they're coming from. What I don't understand is why they did this before releasing a price point. That's the only thing that blows my mind. Xbox and PlayStation have been in this standoff of you're going to release your price first and give the bad news. It's not going to be on us, and we're just going to be old news after the fact. Like, oh, that's what we expected.
So I can see the easy reason being that they want to understand the community, the dedicated community. Because if you don't release a price first and you start to get, or I guess like go through a system like this for pre-registration for a pre-order, like if you start doing that ahead of time, your true fans will have already been on top of this to register for that, regardless of what the price is.
Yeah.
Like the people who are teetering on the edge of, well, do I get a PlayStation or do I get an Xbox this year? That kind of thing based on price because that's what they can afford. Well, you don't necessarily care about trying to cater to those people quite as much. You'd rather cater to your core fan base and the people who are going to be on top of the news articles or on top of, looking constantly at PS5 news to know where they can pre-order this as soon as it opens. Those are the people that you really want to cater to. And if you do this before the price drops, then you don't include the rest of the mess in it.
Well, what actually kind of scares me about this whole pre-order thing too, is that in the message it says it encourages you to follow the instructions and act fast. It's almost like the Hunger Games of the PS5 pre-orders. It's like
Sony is the Apple of the console world here. They can kind of do what they want.
It just seems a little ruthless and unnecessary at the same time because you're sitting there like, oh, we're trying to cater to our main fans. And then at the same time, it's like, but you might want to act fast because even the people that we're accepting for the pre-orders, I mean, to me, everyone that signs up for it is probably going to end up getting one. I would say a roughly 85%.
I don't know why it reminds me of an old FAA motto, not an official one, of course. It's called "Hurry up and wait."
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem right now is what other solution do they have, right? Like if they're
wait until the price comes out and ask for pre-orders.
Again, though, to Mark's point, and I mean, you and I are perfect examples here. Like, is there like barring $1,000, is there a price point in which you're not going to buy this year? There's not one for me.
I would say $1,200 would probably be about the limit that I would have to have a serious conversation with myself about it.
So it's not going to happen. So you and I are who they're hitting, right? They don't care about the mom walking into Walmart to buy a game console for their kids this holiday. They are trying to hit the people who truly want a PS5, but they also can't sit there and hold it for everyone to ensure that they have the money or the time or everything. Like they only have so many.
Because if you guys are signing up now for it, then you guys are already in the running for a pre-order direct from Sony.
Which is what I actually like about this is they're also well, I don't like it necessarily, but they are cutting out the middleman stores out of this scenario. But I like it in the sense that as a consumer, I'm buying directly from Sony. My serial number is registered with my user ID name in this instance from buying it from them. So that to me is really cool, being able to buy directly from Sony.
I think that no price is a problem in every other world we live in, where there's plenty of PS5s and you're luring people into getting this. But realistically, in this scenario, I think if you're signing up, you are under the pretense of it's going to cost X, Y, and Z money. And if it comes at you and it's too much, you just don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like they're holding your cash. They're not holding you hostage for it. You get the opportunity.
Well,
Yeah.
my hope was, I mean, think about it this way. If they would have done it after they released the price point and they did the same exact thing, the first pre-orders after they release the price point will go out to people who sign up for it with their usernames, and then they can identify the largest people, because that way they know those people that are signing up are serious about getting these devices. More serious because they know the price point. And that's why I just don't agree with why they're doing this, is that there's no real difference other than the fact of a marketing fiasco.
See, I argue the difference, the opposite, right? Like, I feel like if you know the price point you're signing up, yeah, you're solidified. But if you don't know the price point, but you're signing up today for a pre-order, it's because you're under the pretense that under this price point in your head, whatever that mental barrier is, you're getting it no matter what.
But they don't know what that price point is. You ask anybody from pretty much
Again,
anybody else about us spending $1,200 on a console, they're going to look at you like, why don't you just buy a PC?
But
but
there's a reasonability to it, though. Like,
Yeah.
you're obviously going to look at $1,000 PlayStation 5 and go, so maybe,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I would have to really, really want it in that moment. Like,
But the other side of it
compulsory,
is, do you want them?
put it at the side. If not, I'll let Brent spend that monies, or let you spend the money since you're rich, and then I'll go to your house and play the PS5.
like you'll ever get a chance to play it after having it for 6 months.
I'll stand on top of you and feel the controller vibrate haptically.
That's an interesting way to figure it out.
This is what it feels like.
Brent's kicking and screaming, wow, that's really great haptic feedback here.
Yeah.
I like the fact that even with the pre-orders, they're saying, hey, by the way, when you do this, and if you do get accepted, these are your options, be prepared. So that way, when you get through, you get your order, you plug it in, and you're done. Like,
yeah. But the other benefit too is this streamlines you, so you don't end up in the rest of the crowd too whenever you go to Best Buy or Walmart to try to purchase. You know, if they go based on selection of, you know, plat trophies or time played or whatever it is that they, you know, or however you use your previous PlayStations based on PSN information.
People on podcasts talking about their PSN IDs, Jester space head. Go ahead, hit me up.
now, I will also say that all of these pre-orders were only going to be accepted if you are a U.S. address.
Well, they have regional sites.
Yeah.
So for our area, yes, you have to be a U.S. citizen it's actually North American, I think, because Canada fits into that.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it said U.S. based addresses.
I could be wrong. I don't know. Sony's very odd about their regions. They usually make them into like the American or North America specifically, Europe as a whole, Japan is one, and then the PAL region's kind of separate and South America separate. Because like Brazil is just now getting PS4, I think.
It says if you live outside the U.S., you can still register and have it shipped to a U.S. based address.
So you get a PO box and you go get it.
And for $1,000, I'll ship it to anywhere else in the world.
For $100, I'll ship it to anywhere else in the world.
Any orders that contain a non-U.S. based address will be canceled. At this time, it's unclear that Sony will do with non-U.S. territories, but we'll update the story as more is announced.
So you heard it here. Someone's trying to be predatory on this podcast. I'm trying to be helpful.
Now, again, it seems super. One, they're definitely trying to hit the U.S. market because I think we're the probably largest money-making market for them.
There's a reason why Sony moved their headquarters to the United States of America during the PS4 era.
Yeah, and that was originally in London.
It was originally in Japan. It was in Tokyo.
It was in Japan. Okay.
Shuhei Yoshida was the head of PlayStation Studios, and then he was somewhat demoted to be the head of the indie development.
Dude, he was given a cushy job to do what he wanted.
Oh, he loves his job. Like, I honestly think he was probably thinking about moving out, and they're like, no, stay. You can work with small developers. And he was like, deuces, that's fine. I'll do that. No, you're right. I mean, they want to capture this market, specifically the American market, because one, we are consumers. Two, Black Friday, like you want to make sure you're hitting all the spots. Like nobody does Christmas and Black Friday like we do, because Black Friday only exists in the United States.
I just saw a video the other day of Fall Guys, and somebody called it Black Friday Simulator.
So true. 100% true
about that.
It still worries me about the price though, involving for both the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 4. and what to expect because of this chicken. I'm starting to wonder if this price point's going to be a lot bigger than the $500-$600 that we were really debating on it being up to.
I really don't think it's that bad. I think the problem right now is that one, we have a 10% unemployment in the United States, and that's us alone. But I know other countries are suffering as well. We have a global pandemic going out, and they can't guarantee how many units. Like, I think right now, Sony and Xbox are scrambling to determine what their holiday situation is going to look like,
Yeah.
which is why they're not talking about the actual launch. I think price may be a factor, but I don't think it is the factor. I think it truly is manufacturing. And so rather than getting everyone's hopes up, like, in my eyes, there is still a possibility we don't get those consoles this year. There's a real world possibility that doesn't happen.
Which is why another thing is, like, why didn't they just blame COVID and said, we're going to try to do our best. Don't be mad at us. Like, that just seems like the easy sell. Instead, they're like, no, COVID won't bring us down. We're just going to have a limited supply. Enjoy.
I mean, it's similar to what we've talked about off the podcast, but like, they are public facing companies. They have people who buy shares, and they have projections they are trying to meet, and they don't want to scare away investors or anyone in that line of thinking of saying, hey, guess what? This console that we have been hyping up for over a year now, or about a year, is like our biggest moneymaker in the gaming sector this season, and we actually won't make it. Sorry. Yeah, we're moving in the next, it's actually going to miss this fiscal quarter entirely. It's going to be like April of next year.
We just call
they don't
it
want to do that.
PS6.
Like,
no.
That's good.
Yeah, they will hold off as long as they can.
But they don't care about building up a backlog of product here. If they have manufactured product available, like, actually that kind of sums up the point of this, is if they don't have the stock available, why not find the core group of people from your PSN IDs that are ready to pre-order for this, and let those people pre-order? Let you guys, like your streamers, let your whoever, and the idea is it almost becomes an elevated status symbol of, look, I'm a top tier PlayStation. I'm a top tier guy on PSN here. I got my PlayStation pre-order direct from Sony. That's almost a badge of pride.
I have to wonder why they're not
Gesture
selling
space
it.
Head PSN Gesture space head.
Yeah,
Well, that and
in fact, apparently Sony was actually scraping YouTube to look for usernames across the voice.
There's a lot of talk about customability with the consoles too. So I actually think it would be really cool if they would be like, yeah, you could buy, serial number product one for like this much money, guaranteed.
I think car companies do that with VIN numbers. It'd be honestly surprising if they didn't do it with serial numbers or something like that with Sony fans. But I think the big thing that they could probably do is the same thing that not that Google did it to the same level of exclusivity, but do a Founders Edition or do a Starters Edition or something like that through Sony specifically. If you are selected to pre-order because you're, whatever tier of, PSN user, then you get a special edition PlayStation that's, instead of white, has like a special color, or the black is replaced with white or some other color or something special, that makes it another
You're not
level.
a true Sony fanboy unless you got the pre-order.
You better believe it. Any final thoughts on Sony's PlayStation 5 pre-orders?
Nope, I vomited what I wanted to say.
I won't even call it a scheme. It's just a plan. Okay, but please let us know what you think about the pre-orders. Are you concerned? Do you think that you're going to miss out? Are you afraid the price will be too high? Please let us know in the comments floating above John like an angry cloud, because he's so afraid that he's still going to have to spend lots of money to get this console. And finally, on to the final topic of the show. This is going to be an interesting one because this is a longer topic, but I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. We're going to talk about Gamescom opening night. So for those who are uninitiated, Gamescom is the conference of the season for the European folk involving video games. Gamescom is the largest public available video game conference in the world, usually having over 10,000, or I'm sorry, no, it's 100,000, I think is what Gamescom 2019 visitors. Hopefully it's 373,000 people visited Gamescom last year. That is compared to E3, which I believe has roughly 10,000. Like, E3 was like, oh man, it was really tough for us last year, and Gamescom was like, come on, let's suck it, I can take you down. Anyways, so obviously that did not happen this year, COVID and everything else with the restrictions going on. So Jeff Keighley teamed up with everyone. And I actually listened to an interview with him. There's a wonderful interview with Ryan McCaffrey of IGN on their podcast where they talk with various individuals from the gaming community, where Jeff Keighley revealed like people came to him at Gamescom like a month and a half before it, and he puts all the stuff together. He doesn't handpick the games, but he typically does go out for like Game Awards and every other event he does. He goes and visits studios, plays the games, talks to the developers. Like he builds and curates relationships. So it's very much a personal endeavor for him. So a month and a half was a lot, but he was able to put together what they called Gamescom opening night, and using his Summer of Games event that he has been doing throughout the entire summer. Gamescom opening night was one of the bigger portions of it, including some more footage and coverage after the fact for the entire week of Gamescom, which was all done digitally. So for this 2-hour event, there's also a pre-show, which was done with someone named Kyle Bosman. I don't really know Kyle. I did not like the pre-show personally. From a presentation standpoint, I was very awkward. There were some cool things. They talked about Scarlet Nexus, Quantum Error, Dirt 5, and they showed off the Jurassic World Evolution version for Switch. But ultimately, I just felt like he had a different style that I didn't quite like.
I can't remember. Were you interested in Scarlet Nexus?
I am interested in Scarlet Nexus, but I'm waiting to see more because it reminds me of plenty of Monster Hunter inspired anime fighters that I think look cool, but I don't like. What's the big one on? It was on Vita. It's on PS4. It also God Eater. Like,
oh yeah.
Like that game looks fine, but it's not that fun to play half the time. So I'm just like, we'll see. Looking at Gamescom opening night, they had a slew of announcements, starting off with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, where we finally got an official trailer. I know they showed one earlier that day, but this one is the big one where they showed off a lot of the story moving forward into the game. Coming out November 13th, it is a direct sequel to the original Black Ops game, which I thought was kind of cool. And I actually love the fact that Black Ops is going back to like an older era. I hated the futuristic stuff personally. Like, I don't play Call of Duty, but from an aesthetic standpoint, it was so bland and boring.
People hated Advanced Warfare, and I was enjoying the verticality of it. I was fucking people up.
There's a reason why they got rid of it for Modern Warfare and got rid of jetpacks.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
keep it a little bit more 2D there.
They were too mad I was owning them.
I agree with you. You're so dumb. I agree with you, Kiba. I actually like Advanced Warfare, but my point is Black Ops works really well as this older generational storytelling, and in Cold War sounds great. We got to see some of the newest gameplay from the Doom Eternal expansion, The Ancient Gods. It looks great. Doom always looks fun for me, even though it's not a game I would enjoy. I love watching the visceralness of that, and it just looks like more of this over-the-top craziness. I also saw 2 Marauders in a scene, which I heard one Marauder's a fucking so I can only imagine 2 at the same scene. Doc Brown joined us to advertise Surgeon Simulator 2, which was very bizarre, but I do enjoy the reference. I guess
was
I don't know.
Weird.
It's super weird.
It didn't
actually
feel
Christopher Lloyd, or
yes, it was 100% Christopher Lloyd, who is looking very old.
God,
he is.
That's going to be.
Oh wow, yeah, he is looking very old.
But still interesting nonetheless. I like the way the stage played out and the animation. Still odd. BioWare came and talked about the next Dragon Age game again. Like, I get it, BioWare, you want to ensure fans that your game's working, but I'm at the point right now personally where it's like, don't talk about it till you have footage, because you don't have footage. You have concept art and developers saying, I'm really enjoying this game. I can't wait to show it. We'll show it. We can't show it now. Well, then stop talking. Like, not that nobody cares, but like,
stop spending time on this. Go work on it.
Exactly. Like, wait till you have something to show us.
This is the problem I have with this argument, is that people get mad when they don't talk about it. It's like, where is it? I'm worried about it. Where is it? And then they say something. They're like, why isn't it in my hands already? I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've had a problem with Cyberpunk 2077 is one recently where people freaking out before they started their Midnight series, where like every month they do a video. The big one I've heard a lot recently is the Beyond Good and Evil 2, where people are like, where is it? Where is it? I'm like, who the fuck cares? There's 1,000 games to play right now. Like, don't get me wrong, that game looks dope. I can't wait to see what the game actually looks like when it comes out. Let them work on it.
I understand there's like this like small minority of people who are like so into this game and they can't wait for it to come out. And I get that. And you're like, hey, where's it at? Come on, man, I get it. But like these people who get like visibly angry. I'm like, I don't understand you. Do you not play any other game? This
visibly
must be
angry.
just your total focus of all time.
It's fun to play Puppet Master with them. I don't disagree though. Yeah, get a life. Like I literally play. I have almost 90 platinums. I play a lot of fucking video games. Get a life. Moving on to the next announcement was a brand new Sam and Max game.
My name is Mayo, and
oh yeah,
there's tall tale.
I don't have that fucking platinum. You want to go? You want to talk about platinum? You want to talk about platinums? I do have some bullshit platinums. I won't lie. A new Sam and Max game was teased, which is really cool. I actually really appreciate the humor of those games. I do not like the point and click adventure style. Just not me. Really cool
I loved them in that card game. It was a Texas Hold'em card game that was available on PlayStation Plus a while back.
It was on PlayStation 3, and it was World Poker. It was something weird, but
it was super fun. It had Claptrap.
It had Claptrap, GLaDOS. It's fantastic.
Yeah, super fun.
New trailer for the new World of Warcraft expansion. I appreciate the World of Warcraft is chugging along. I know a lot of people are mixed on this, mostly because they have Classic now. So why would you want to play the new expansion when you have Classic? But hey, you get to pick whichever one you want and enjoy it. So cool. Yeah. Netherrealm, Dark Elves. Crash 4 has something called flashback tapes, which sound cool on paper. They're like tricky puzzle rooms, but the way they announced it was super weird, where Crash went to the actual arena they hold Gamescom at regularly, which you have to have knowledge of Gamescom and understand that to understand why he's walking to an empty arena for this trailer. It was very bizarre, but enjoyable nonetheless. After that, we got to see a little bit of Little Nightmares 2. I cannot wait for this game to watch people play it, because I can't play. Like, John and I are going to the beach in November, and I'm going to convince him that he and I are going to have nice amount of whiskey next to us, and we're going to attempt to play this game together. We'll just pass the controller back and forth.
It's fine. So as long as I got someone with me, I could do stuff like this, but like playing it by myself, I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
See, that sounds like my buddy Travis and I going through BioShock for the first time.
Yeah.
BioShock's not super creepy, but it was creepy enough.
Oh, the jump, they got you with the jump scares. You go around a corner, someone's coming at you with a wrench, and you're like, ah!
And wax figures as they turn and spin kick you in the face and shit. Anyway.
So in Little Nightmares, you play as these kids, they're like this tall, and then every other character is this tall, and you're like, wait, what was that? I don't want to touch that. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone.
And they want to kill you. It's not like, oh, I'll accidentally 100%. Step on you.
But I give
all over again.
I give Tysier Studios a ton of credit. They helped with the Little Big Planet on Vita, which is actually fairly creepy, even though it's still family friendly. And they took their style and turned it into something unique. And I really do adore this game, despite the fact that I have trouble playing it. We also got to see some of EA's Star Wars Squadron, right? We were talking about this before the show.
Yeah.
How it's not a perfect flight simulator, according to some people on the show, but still looks pretty cool, right? We're moving on with some Star Wars single player mode and multiplayer battles. You have something to say, Mark? You look like you were trying to refute me on your comment.
No, I'm not refuting you.
About flight simulators and Star Wars Battle Squadron.
Oh, it's like an arcade game at best.
Oh, shots fired out of game that's not released yet. You're just like everyone else on the internet.
I think it's interesting.
October 2nd.
I think it has a lot. I think it has a lot of potential to do really well, especially with the way that they do objective-based missions and different objective-based missions at that. I think that's going to be really cool.
I'm a fan of diversifying Star Wars, right? Like, we don't need every Star Wars game to feel the same. I don't need to be a Jedi. I don't need to be like having one that's straight about just ship battles. Awesome. Do it. That sounds great. The universe is massive.
Can I say that I really want another Battlefront game to actually succeed properly, like Battlefield and everything else? I love Battlefront, but it's kind of flopped. So Squadrons kind of gives me hope.
It's not my place to say, but if you haven't checked out Battlefront after all the updates, apparently it's really good. Moving on to the next.
I gave up on it as soon as they're like, we'll fix it, I promise.
Yeah. The Sims 4 is getting a Star Wars themed expansion, which I was surprised to hear split a lot of people. So I was actually monitoring Twitter while watching this, and a lot of people were saying, hey, this is really cool. I play Star Wars. I'm like a casual Sims player. This is what I'm looking for. And then a lot of people were like, you obviously don't know what the Sims want. Why are you making expansions that nobody in the Sims that plays the Sims cares about? So fascinating to see how it works out. We'll find out. The next one I thought looked great, which is the Mafia Definitive Edition.
You just
So
love this
Mafia-
era. I swear to God.
I
You just
do.
want to be
I
a
swear to- oh, yeah.
You want to be Peaky Blinders. You want to be a Boardwalk Empire, and you want to be,
Yes.
freaking sneaking in
I
alcohol
wanna
because that's
be-
our favorite thing in the world.
I want to be on top of the world until I'm not, because I'm an egotistical asshole and I have control and power. Yes,
Wow.
but not in today's era. It's gross today. Like
Yeah.
it was great then. It was
Just
very glorified.
29-ish,
Yeah. No.
21,
So
sorry.
the reason why I'm fascinated by Mafia Definitive Edition is because Mafia is a game that came out on the 360 PS3 era, and they have not only brought this game to the modern era to be PC, PS4, and Xbox One, but they are literally recreating the game. Brand new models, brand new maps. Like they are streamlining everything they can on this game to make it feel like a modern game. And I applaud them for this attempt because the game looks gorgeous. I'm telling you, like compared to Mafia 3, which is the last game in the franchise that released, which is not a bad looking game. It looks fine. Like it looks like a modern open world game. Mafia Definitive Edition, I definitely implore you to check out the article, the Kotaku article we have in our Google Doc, which is in the description floating above Mark like an angry cloud of hornets. I highly recommend you check it out because it is amazing to me how much effort and love you can tell they put into it. So it makes me want to play the game just simply because I've seen the comparisons, and that's not a franchise I'm invested in emotionally whatsoever.
Yeah.
Except for the time period.
I've not played one, but after watching it, I would definitely get into it. I'd have no problem with that.
Here's the one John's super excited about. Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, delayed until 2021, but we got a brand new gameplay trailer.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm starting to get into a little bit more of like these type of games. Like Fall Guys definitely inspired me to like start thinking about, after playing Last of Us, like we talked about how we have this slump where it was like, man, it was just so it was so heavy that we were like, I'm not even wanting to get into any games, where I feel like this stuff is like, I could do this stuff passively and be fine, and I don't have to worry about like any storylines or caring about getting a plat. It's just being a kid again,
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Well, and you got a little niece who comes over. You have a cousin comes over.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're gonna have the 2-player, which is available in every Star Wars game, or I'm sorry, Lego game. And honestly, looking at this trailer, they're seemingly improving the formula, which is the one thing I applaud these guys at Telltale Traveler's Tales, who makes the Lego games, is that I know, go figure it out. They do a great job of really trying to change their formula as much as possible. So, speaking of Fall Guys, season 2 sneak peek happened as well, and I am fucking stoked. Dragons, knights, medieval sections, moving blocks. It's more Fall Guys. I can't wait to play more.
I'll never get rid of my my current costume.
You may not, but I'm looking at that dragon outfit looking.
Oh, they look good. I'm excited. I'm more excited for different levels. I've been having an issue, which they seem to balance pretty well now. Beforehand, I was playing like every other round was that egg scramble. Now I haven't played it in like 5 days. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played Egg Scramble.
Yeah, it's awful.
You're lucky.
Like all of my rounds are pretty much along the same lines. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Please let
want
us
some more diversity. I think that would do that game some well.
Agreed. Please let us know what is your least favorite Fall Guys round in the comments, floating directly below my beard, but above my Brotherhood shirt. Tiptoe's fine. Tiptoe's great. You're terrible. Also, they announced a brand new Medal of Honor game. What year is it? Medal of Honor's been dead for like 6 years now. The last Medal of Honor game had a Linkin Park song in it. Like,
yeah.
What was it? It was competing against Battlefield 3, which, fun
Xbox
fact,
360?
they're both produced by the same company.
Yes.
So, like they're both EA games, but like Medal of Honor lost out pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And which for the last one was just called Medal of Honor, if I remember right.
It was 100%. Yes. Yeah. Now, what I do find interesting is that this is going to be a VR game. So they're going Medal of Honor above and beyond exclusively for VR. And so I'm interested, are they trying to take in a new space, story driven, with this aspect of using VR for immersion? Because that could be something worth, viewing. So,
I mean, to be fair, that is something that Battlefield cannot tackle, and that is something that Call of Duty probably won't.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Yeah, and it's a franchise that you have that you don't necessarily have to worry about if it crashes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could bomb, and who the hell cares? Like, okay, it's another Medal of Honor game. Move on.
It reminds me of that movie, that first person movie where it's like Get Harry, and Inglourious Bastards put together.
Yes. I will say that Call of Duty will tackle VR when it's ubiquitous and you can support 60-player online.
Yep.
Of course, we have a new update from Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which gets new subclasses. The trailer looks cool. I am not a Destiny fan, nor am I a hater. I think Destiny's fine. Everyone who enjoys it is great. I think what's fascinating is that they're removing content to put this new content in. So I'm really curious to see how the community reacts when the new content drops. So, yeah. Well,
did they give a reason?
So they have not given a reason, but I've heard a very valid argument, which is look at Call of Duty Warzone, which is now almost 200 gigs in some systems or consoles. So in order to keep all that content, you have to keep memory. Why not get rid of some of the things that people are using less while introducing new things?
Users, like that's gonna suck tremendously.
And then you can also just mix and match afterwards. Whatever works stays, whatever doesn't, you get rid of and you bring back the old content. So super smart on their part. Curious to see how the community reacts because people are babies half the time. 75% of the time, 95% of the time. Moving on to one of my favorite parts of the entire show was new gameplay of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Now, this game looked incredible beforehand. This new demo, I don't think it's going to convince anybody who didn't like the first showing.
Yeah.
But as a fan of the franchise, I cannot wait for this game. Oh my God, it looks beautiful. It's like frenetic. It's got all kinds of weapon. It's more Ratchet & Clank, and I just want it in my veins right here.
I agree with that. I was on Twitter, and there was someone that I meant to send it to you, and they had a side-by-side representation of where they were on both videos. One for the last time it was shown, and this time at Gamescom. And there is a few differences that were shown with the environment not being as detailed, which I found very interesting.
It's to be expected. Like, if anybody's watching the reveal of a game and is like, this is what the game should be like, you're going to be disappointed. Unfortunately, that's the reality we live in. That's part of commercialism. But I am not. I am happy. And I cannot wait to play more. Mostly because I love and adore Ratchet & Clank. I think I've platinum. Ooh, John, my next platinum. I've never played Deadlock. I've got to get it on PS4 and platinum it.
I don't think I ever played Deadlock either.
You did not, because it was a PS2 game that eventually was ported to PS4. But that is the entirety of Gamescom opening night. I do believe, again, it was a overall interesting announcement spiel, but also very odd. You know, Gamescom is always kind of hit or miss for me because E3 always comes before it. Tokyo Game Show's after it. So a lot of the Japanese developers hold back because they want to have big reveals on their own home turf. E3 is like, you know, I won't say our Oscars, but it is like for video games, it's always the biggest deal. It has been since its inception. And so while we didn't have a traditional E3 this year, this one still felt a little scattershot in a way that I think next year it won't, if that makes sense.
If E3 is our Oscars, where would you rank PAX?
So PAX is like our South by Southwest.
Okay.
Yeah. So overall, still happy with the amount of announcements. There's plenty of other stuff that we have no time to cover on the show. We barely have enough time to cover our topics, let alone what else happened there. But please let us know what your thoughts are on Gamescom opening night. Are there things you were looking forward to that weren't there? Elden Ring. Oh no, sorry, B-Scotch. Oh, suck it. Eat your sheep. You
so
chop.
mean.
Are there other things that you were not satisfied with? Let us know in the comments floating above me like a crown, because I've won one crown in the Fall Guys and I'm happy about it.
I won 3 last night.
It's time for last call.
Last call!
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Of course, we are still in our own quarantine bunkers, which is why we're side by side in this video, which Mark has wonderfully edited for us. But we do have our own special guests. Me tonight, I was able to save just a little bit left of my old-fashioned recipe that I got from Kiba himself. So in order to ensure I had enough here, save a little bit off to the side, but it is delicious. It is made with the stout edition of the Jameson, as 2 parts of that, along with 1 part of the Dom Benedictine, which is a liqueur.
It's 13 different herbs in a liqueur.
Correct. So rather than sugar, which is traditionally used in old fashioned, the Dom Benedictine has a sweetness to it that adds to that sugar along with the herbs that accent the flavor. And then, of course, 3 dashes of aromatic bitters and then 1 orange rind, which you would rub around the rim and then drop in with a big old ice cube. It is delicioso. Strong if you don't like the taste of alcohol, but still delicioso nonetheless.
Yep. It's delish. I am drinking the last of the Sycamore Caramel Macchiato Blonde. I'm not going to lie. Don't buy more than one of these.
I was going to say, I was actually slightly disappointed at that, which made me sad because it sounds delicious on paper.
Dude, I
feel
wanted
like
this to be the best thing ever entered my mouth.
I feel like I want to try one and then never try it again.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's how that goes. It's not bad. It's just, again, like the can size again. Give me a regular can. Would have been much more enjoyable. I'd be done by now, and we wouldn't have this conversation.
So I'm still working on my Elijah Craig handle over here. So you're talking about, not liking the taste of alcohol. Well, it's just pretty much just straight up on the rocks. It's,
yeah, buddy.
That's how it is. So
what kind of glass is that?
That's the what is her name? Maleficent.
Maleficent.
From Sleeping Beauty. Yeah. I like that actually a lot.
Evil.
I like that a lot. That's actually a really cool glass.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have a new segment in our last call, Strange Shoutout. So we were for a long time highlighting our streamer of the month. However, Strange Gaming Network no longer has a streamer of the month because we love our streamers equally. We can't pick one. So we are going to try every week to pick one streamer or one content creator on the show, or maybe even a series of this channel to shout out to you. And this week it is actually going to be the only Resilience. So Resilience has been working very hard to try and build his fellowship. That's what it's called. His following, his fellowship of the ring, and has been actually working on giving some giveaways. So if you go over to his Twitch channel, you can see, and if you also watch our monthly update, you will also see his whole spread of how the giveaways work. But nonetheless, you should give him a sub. Watch him. He is a killer streamer. I love watching him play some Valorant. He's been killing it right now recently on his way up to the top. It has also been highlighted by a couple of other streamers, including Thor. So check him out. For our weekly reading, I have a wonderful article I found right before the show, which is Vlambeer is closing down. If you're not aware of Vlambeer, they are a studio comprised of 2 developers, 2 co-owners, and then they contract out for the rest of the work, helping on their games. They made Luftrausers, they made Nuclear Thrones, and Ridiculous Fishing, which is still arguably one of the best mobile games ever made. After 10 years together, they have decided that they're going to stop their company, but not out of any negative connotations, just that they both realized that they have grown to appreciate and want to do different things. So they are putting it down. I highly recommend the read because it's very rare we get to see these kinds of things happen in a positive light in our industry. So please check it out. As for some cool ass shit, Toonami's Tom speaks to the community about inclusivity. If you don't remember Tom, he's the really cool robot who talks right in between the shows. And quite frankly, this is one of the cleanest I have seen of any sort of organization trying to speak on the matter of Black lives and the chaos that is happening in our country.
Yeah.
If you have any sort of reverence for Toonami and what is going on, I highly recommend checking it out. It's literally a minute long. It's
It
one
warms
Twitter
your
video.
heart.
It really does. It was beautifully done. I teared up quite a bit towards the end. So check it out. We have the link in our Google Doc per usual. And finally, we have our question of the week, which is, what is a canceled project or product that you really wanted to get into your hands and why?
That's not the question about on there.
Oh, that's the question I provided because your question was inappropriate, sir. And yes, I can start this. I can start this off because I have 1 or 2 things here. So one of the projects is actually a game that I'm not sure. Are you okay? Are you catching flies?
Fucking bug's been the bane of my existence this entire time. I finally got him. He's done.
Buddha would be really disappointed in you.
Oh well, I'll see you later.
So there was a game that was announced by Platinum Games for Xbox exclusively, Scalebound, which I was surprisingly super stoked about. So Scalebound involved you as a dragon rider in like this really cool like headphones and sword and and you go and fight enemies, and your dragon would fight alongside you. So you could get on top of your dragon and fly around and attack, or your dragon could be an AI party member in which you would take on larger bosses together. It looked incredible. It was canceled about 3 years after its announcement, which was very, very frustrating. There's a lot of behind the scenes drama where Platinum Games said Microsoft pulled the plug. They were still working on it. We really don't know the entire thing.
Ooh.
Phil Spencer, who is the head of Microsoft, has said over and over again, listen, it wasn't that we didn't want the game to come together. It just didn't make sense for us at the time. I really do wish that game came out because I love Platinum Games. Even the games that I don't agree with, like Astral Chain on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fine game. I just don't like the control scheme. I still love their games. Like Astral Chain is still fun.
Did you play that game with the dongles?
You have to be a little bit more specific.
The stupid little hand.
The Joy-Cons.
Yeah, that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why you hated that.
I played it in handheld mode.
Yeah, I don't know. So I use like the Xbox style controller on it. It feels so much better. It's like a whole different world game. Like
if I can't play a Switch game in handheld mode, it's not a Switch game.
Yeah, well, it's on the Switch, so deal with it.
Yeah, it sucks. There you go. Problem solved. My other thing I'm going to quickly throw in here, Google Glass, which is still a product and it is available. I do get that. However, I was hoping for the mass production that we have with iPhone where I could use it because that shit just looked cool. Like after the first trailer, I was sold.
It's still in the industrial space, but it's not available in the
consumer base.
Consumer space. That's what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Who's next?
For hardware, Vita 2. I was really disappointed that got canceled.
Why do you have to wound me?
It existed. Was it even confirmed that they were going to do a Vita 2?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. PlayStation's terrible company. Don't pre-order PS5, but pre-order PS5. This would be great. I can't wait for haptic feedback controller.
They should have done is said, "Oh yeah, the PS5 is coming in. You know what the controller is? The Vita 2." That'd be great. But no, I would have to say for a game that I was upset that they didn't do would be Prince of Persia. I was excited that there was a current console game coming out for Prince of Persia. I haven't gotten to play yet, and it just dropped. And then rumors had actually resurfaced recently about the game and seeing the gameplay. I was like, that actually looked like that would have been really fun.
I was about to say, did you see that concept video?
Yeah.
Because it looked dope. It looked so dope.
I was like, you really messed out on that one. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that
Marcus.
definitely felt good.
So for me, like a piece of tech, definitely not from a gaming perspective anyway. Like there hasn't been a whole lot from a gaming perspective other than when I was like a little kid, like there was a Too Fast, Too Furious game that was supposed to come out that, just suddenly got canceled.
It's about family, baby.
But anyway, the biggest one that hit me was I'm a motorcycle rider, so helmet technology hasn't really gone anywhere in the last while. So Ruroc, RUROC, was coming out with a helmet that had a visor like heads up display system that was supposed to be placed in front of your eye. Oh, the Scully. That's what it was. Yeah.
I was gonna buy that when I got my bike.
But it also had a rear view. It also had a rear view camera placed on the back, so that you could just immediately see a fisheye view of whatever was going on behind you at the same time.
They were gonna have a display for your GPS put up onto your visor. You were gonna have access to a rear view mirror without having to turn or look anywhere, and it was widescape. Like it was beautiful. It was the safest helmet I've ever seen. I was like, this is great.
Yep. But the project flopped pretty hard with, I think, it going through like 3 different companies having bought them out. Or 2 different companies having bought them out after the fact.
I know that but there's something wrong with the product that they first built. Like it just didn't take on. And then there was a bunch of people that backed out, and then they had to look for more funding.
So they had gone through a couple like 1 or 2 rounds with Indiegogo, I think, but they never actually delivered a product. Was the problem? Like they had a few reviewers come out and take them out, with the heads-up display system. But they didn't have the rear view camera, if I remember right. I think Chase on 2 Wheels did a review with his, but they didn't actually have a fully built production ready system ready to go.
Yeah.
And I was kind of annoyed by that. Like it looked like a really good, innovative product as far as like street commuting would have been concerned. Not necessarily for track use, of course, but it still would have been great to see like a good commuter helmet come out like that. So
all I'm saying is I could totally see long bike rides and playing anime instead of a GPS system, and I'm just like,
I don't think you want anime to play so much as you just want Cowboy Bebop's tank to play. As you take turns. But please let us know what is a device, product, or series that you wish had come out that was canceled in the comments, floating right in front of this microphone. Just right here. Not below, not above. Not as above, so below. But until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my God, Brent has a hit White Claw. How'd that happen? Oh no!